Good afternoon and welcome to 5 Minutes with Farham. I'm John Stringer and I'm sales manager for the south and east of England. And joining me today, head brewer from Dark Star Brewery. Is it brewing or brewery?
Dark Star Brewery, yeah. Our
It's
email
brewery.
addresses are brewing, which always confuses people because the emails bounce back because people write brewery and constantly going ing, all that sort of stuff. But yes, we are a brewery.
Brilliant, brilliant. And it's Henry Kirk. Thanks
Hello,
for joining,
yes.
Henry. It's really good of you to spare your time, and we'll crack through some of these questions. Okay, first question is, what is your favourite hop?
Oh my goodness. Well, at the moment, it is a Zaka. That's really the one that I'm really thrilled about. I think it's we've got this new beer called Sunquake, and it just really works really well with Mosaic, and it's just got some really beautiful. How to describe it? I'm always terrible at these things. You know, that sort of tropical mango-y thing going on, but then also what I like about it is that it's got a bit of grapefruit in the citrusiness as well. People might listen to this and sound totally wrong, but that's my
Yeah,
sort of
that's it.
feeling of what it delivers. So I've used it a lot. We did a single hop head with it, Azaka, which really delivered those flavors, and with the Sunquake, Mosaic, Azaka, and a bit of Chinook, really brought it home. So that's my current favourite.
Brilliant, brilliant. And go on, tell me about your favourite beer.
My favorite beer. Okay, well, yeah, my favorite beer of all time, completely shifting away from the Pacific Northwest, is Rodenbach Grand Cru. It really, I mean, I was lucky enough in March 2019 to go there to Rosolare, or however you pronounce it. Not like that, I'm sure. And just the history of the place is unbelievable. I mean, they started, Mr. Rodenbach, Alexander Rodenbach, started making alcohol. He was a doctor, so he was making it to sort of cure, had to help with injuries and all the various wars that was going on. But you go there and it's got the 30 cellars full of these wooden vessels, that's pumped full of the Rodenbach. And you talk to the head brewer there, and he's just saying, you ask him about the recipe, he refuses to tell you. He's like, no, we don't talk about that. But he just say he's very dismissive of it as a work, should we say? It's in the blending and the maturation that this thing really comes alive, and so it's such a throwback. And for me, the normal Rodenbach's a bit too sweet, but Rodenbach Grand Cru, the blend, I don't know, I can't remember what the blend is of new and age stuff. People tell you a different story depending on who you talk to. But that mix of sort of acetic sourness and the color, and it's so refreshing, and yeah, it's unlike anything.
Yeah,
so that sort of thing that beer is incredible to me.
the artistry is so impressive, isn't it?
Yeah, sorry, I've not really found very many people who like it. The first time I ever bought it was in this off license in Edinburgh, and I was like, "Oh, do you have Rodenbach Grand Cru?" And the guy was like, "Yeah, we do, but I have to warn you, it does taste like blood and iron, and it's not great." I was like, "What are you talking about? This is the great thing." So that is my favourite beer of all time. Which is interesting because now I just purely make IPAs. But it's nice to have something outside of
Oh, definitely, definitely. I have drunk it in the past. I find the acetics just on the edge of insanity. But yeah, it's a fabulous beer, and as I say, the artistry of the blending, it's fabulous. It really is.
Wild.
So leading you on to that sort of thing, favorite beer destination?
Yes. Well, there's so many places. Probably the place that I found the most energizing to go to was Portland in Oregon. So I've only been there once. Which was about 6 years ago now. But it was just phenomenal. We flew into Seattle. We got the train to Portland, the Amtrak. You know, we were in the observation car going down the Pacific Northwest. Incredible. And then you get there, and there's just all these great breweries, all these great tap rooms. And I arrived with loads of Fuller's beers. I used to work with Fuller's at the time, so like vintage ales and all this stuff. And I just had my big clinking bag, and I was just giving beers to people. And everyone was so open and friendly, and you know, it was just tremendous. Thank God they had Uber at that time. You know, I was just Ubering everywhere. So I said that was, yeah, that was probably the greatest destination. But then I do love Bruges, you know, Antwerp, you know, Belgium is Ghent. Belgium's so fantastic. Yeah. But my next big destination that I want to go to is Norwich. Would you believe? I heard it's like this craft beer mecca. I want to get in the Fat Cat. You know, that's where I really want to go next.
Yeah, I'll meet you up there. Fat Cat's great pub, great pub.
You've been?
And Norwich is great city. Some nice pubs there. It's good brewers as well in and around the area as well. It's a nice part of the world.
Yeah, can't wait. Who knows when we'll be allowed to? But you know, well, from the 19th.
Yeah, should be.
Drive up there.
Yeah, first thing, 6 a.m. Monday morning. You're getting that car. Yeah. What one item in the brewery could you not live without?
Well, so I think the best thing at Dark Star, the most labor-saving device for making our modern IPAs and pale ales, is definitely our hop gun. When I arrived and I saw that they had one of those, I was like, this is fantastic. Because previously, like in a lot of small breweries, they were just climbing up ladders with hops, with 10 kilo, 20 kilo bags. And I know that they, to sort of pour in this porthole at the top. And I know that they weren't very messy. I know that they were pretty messy because if you go up there now, there's still some hop pellets up there. It's terrifying, to sort of dry hop in that way. So the fact that they spent the money and got this Braucon thing, we just load it up. We can get about 45 kilos of hops in, purge it with CO2 and then just blast it, connect it up to the FB. That's a crucial bit. And just blast it through there for 4 to 6 hours and we get tremendous results. So I think that really, really helps us deliver those hop fiends out there, hop heads, I should say.
Yeah. If you weren't in the brewing industry, what would you be doing? Frightening question. Nerdily, if that's not even a word, but I'm really fascinated by biodigesters and getting bacteria to break down all our relentless waste and turn it into energy. Every time our effluent tanker turns up, I just think that's another load going to Chertsey where our biodigester is. So I'd love to I think if, quite rightly, something happened and I had to leave brewing, I think that would be something that would sort of thrill me intellectually to get involved in. I love all that bacteria stuff. Yeah, I hear you. Who is your biggest inspiration in brewing, Henry?
Well, you can't see this because this is recorded, but I'm wearing my Heretic Brewing Company.
Yeah, lovely.
So yeah, I suppose the main man is in my eyes is Jamil Zenishev. He had the great misfortune of being on the Fuller's Brewery tour, and I sort of recognized him and said, "What are you doing on here, Jamil? I presume." So I took him away and sort of took him on a behind the scenes tour of Fuller's and showed him everything. And then when we were having a drink in the hospitality suite area, he made the grave mistake of saying, "Oh, well, Henry, if you're ever in the US, please get in touch." And I just said, "Jamil, I'm sorry to do this to you, but I'm coming to California in 10 days' time." Because I was going to a conference in Sierra Nevada in Chico. And he true to his word, he picked me up from the airport, from what's it called? The capital of California. Can't remember what it's called, but Northern California. He picked me up and we hung out for a couple of days. And I'm hoping to get him over here to do a brew. But yeah, I mean, he's inspirational to me because, like me, he came to brewing as a second, and you actually, John, he came to brewing as a second career. He was in IT for his sins. And, sort of tremendous home brewer. He's won loads of awards. And I think he's sort of, I'm going to say in his 50s, but he just keeps pushing the envelope of craft. He really embodies that craft brewing spirit, which is, as the industry matures, is kind of evaporating a little bit. Every time I'm messaging him or talking to him, he's always doing something weird and wacky, using first words to, sparge a next batch. He calls it like poly sparging or something, like, like water's not good enough for him. It has to be strong words that he's sparging with. And he made this beer called Gloop, where it was just an absolutely appalling amount of lactose just being poured in. I love his attitude to brewing, and that there's no holds barred. And I think a lot of brewers I've met, and I think I'm like this myself, we're creatures of habit, and we like an easy life. But whenever I meet him, I'm always inspired. Well, maybe let's push the envelope a little bit. So I think of all the wonderful people I've worked with in my career, he's probably the most, I would say.
Yeah, and a thoroughly nice guy as well. I remember meeting him. He's a top guy.
Absolutely.
So what got you into brewing in the first place?
Good question. I was in my mid-20s. I was running a card shop in London, and I was developing sociopathic tendencies towards the general public. It's difficult. It's a difficult environment to work in. And I thought, I need to do something else with my life. And as luck would have it, I met this guy from Melbourne in Australia, and he was telling me all about so this is, okay, so we're talking like 2007 sort of time, to give people a timeline. And he was saying about all these great brew pubs in Melbourne and how fantastic and eccentric and off the wall they were. And I was just like, London needs this, which you can only have that attitude when you're totally clueless about what brewing involves. So I went to Heriot Watt, and I lucky enough to get in there, and I managed to get a BSc in brewing and distilling, and a lot of summer jobs. I worked at Harvey's for a bit and Joseph Holt's for a summer and things like that. And so I got into it just from meeting that Australian guy. If I hadn't have gone to that party, where would I have ended up? I just have no idea.
It's crazy, isn't it?
It is. It's frightening to think about it now, but yeah, 10 years later.
Yeah, it is. And everything that falls in and around it, yeah.
14 years later, bloody hell. Yeah.
Favourite beer festival?
UBBF, without a shadow of a doubt. Brewers Christmas, as I call it. It's just fantastic. I know people are quite sniffy about it or whatever, but for me, there's nothing better than just, you're in that huge auditorium, you see all this wonderful cask beer, then going to the Harvey stand and just bumping into loads of fellow brewers and just catching up with them from all around the country. It's
it's lovely, isn't it? Very special.
Yeah, I mean, all the craft beer festivals are great and everything. I'm not diminishing them, of course, but for me, the GBBF is the OG. It's the best.
Yeah, and I get to plunder mild all day.
Yes.
Wherever on many stands, it's great. I never see mild all year, and I just get to fill myself to the brim with it. It's great.
Yeah, absolutely. And the American bar they've got, the European bar, there's something for everyone. Yeah, we've all got to pray it's back for 2022.
Yeah, it'll be back, and it'll be bad. It will be. Favorite hobby or interest outside of brewing?
Yeah, well, this is the thing. I've got two young kids, so I'm trying to get them to enjoy the hobbies that I had as a kid, so I can do them again, like Lego, for example. But yeah, so a lot of my time is spent trying to get them to do stuff they don't want to do. So a big thing at the moment is I love setting up the Skittles in the garden and getting them to like try and play that, but they don't like to play by the rules. So yeah, my main hobby is traditional pub games, or attempting to get the kids to play them.
Excellent. Should be encouraged, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, actually, John, I've recently played what's it called, Bat and Trap. You must have played. You're from that neck of the woods, aren't you?
Yeah, I've never played it. Never played it. I know it's around in some of the pubs around here, but yeah, I know I've not played it. Are you any good at it?
Well, I only played it once, and I like to think I was incredible. But yeah, I just had this fantasy of just moving to Canterbury and just playing this game every day. It was fantastic. But yes, yeah, only once at the moment. Yeah, I don't think I'll be allowed to play again for a while.
Last beer you brewed?
Last beer we brewed actually was a beer called Seville. So it's which is a very orangey pale ale, and which used to be a seasonal here. And the reason why we're brewing it's a lovely story actually. Les Masters is our absolute primo stalwart of the Dark Star shop. He is the #1 salesman there. He is the Matthew Letitia of Dark Star. He's just he's magnificent, and he's been here 10 years. So I said to Les, look, we should make a beer to celebrate this great thing this achievement. And he wanted to bring it back. So we brewed that on Wednesday. So lots of orange peel and pulp and loads of Mandarin Bavaria hops. That's how you pronounce it. Amarillo. The marketing people were like, how do we describe this beer? And I was like, one word, orange. So it's a sort of 4% pale ale. It's just every different type and form of orange has been utilized. And yeah, so we managed to block up the kettle with all the orange peel. But that's part of it. That's craft.
Yeah, that's part of it. Yep. And going out in cask, is it? Or
it'll be cask and can, yeah.
Right. Oh, fantastic. Cool. I'll look out for that. Fuggles or Goldings? Tricky question.
Well, now the truth can be told. The best Fuggles I've ever had, and will this make the final cut? I don't know. Is French Fuggles. We got a batch of French Fuggles from Alsace, and the colour and the aroma, the mintiness, the deep green, it was superb. That's not to say that Fuggles grown here is not wonderful, but it's a real struggle, isn't it?
Yeah.
With verticillium wilt and all that other stuff that I can't quite remember. But those Fuggles, I remember at Fuller's when we used that last bag, I was getting upset. I was communing with them. I was like, you guys, you French farmers, you have delivered this. So that Fuggles is great. But I suppose overall, we're just about to launch a new draft pour beer called Orbiter, which is an amber or best bitter. And I'm using Charles Fareham Goldings in that.
Hey.
So I'm a big don't make me choose, I suppose is the answer.
Oh, okay.
I love the Goldings.
Do you notice much of a difference with EKGs if you must have used them in the past?
I think what's interesting is between say German hops and English hops is there are greater variations between farmers and fields in the UK than it is in Germany. So I was tremendously privileged at Fuller's every September. People like Charles Fareham and all the other guys would come and bring us samples to try, to do the hop rub. We would absolutely destroy the meeting room we were in. And just to be able to be seeing that and go, oh my God, yes, we want that field. We want the variety from that field. And, that you could just have, and that's when you realize, how much as brewers we are assemblers of all these great raw materials. But you could get some quite significant variation. So it's difficult to sort of say what's the difference between Goldings, say, and EKG, and because you can have incredible batches from wherever, and then some less. I don't know. It's a difficult one, I would say.
Yeah.
The one we've currently got is great.
Good. What could we look for next from Dark Star? Sort of like specials? Are you going to be looking at new new styles to brew, new ingredients?
Well, it's great. You've asked this question. In about 2 weeks' time, I'm having a meeting with the marketing people about what we're going to do for 2022. So the next beer that we're going to brew that's interesting is a black IPA. I was very lucky that at Fuller's I was able to brew a lot of new beers at Fuller at the brewery. The most successful one that I did was a black IPA, and so now I'm bringing that beer, that style back, I should say. So that should be released in October. But looking forward to 2022, what I'd really love to do is sort of, we're increasingly here in Sussex, it's becoming wine country. They're buying up the golf courses and ripping up the bunkers and putting in all these vines. I would really love to do a beer wine hybrid. I think Wild Beer have done some great ones, and
Yeah, absolutely.
Some people closer to home here. I'm trying to remember off the cuff. That's what I'd love to do. I don't really understand quite how I could do it. I've had some discussions with other brewers. But yeah, I'd love to try and basically just get loads of grape must in, get loads of grapes in, loads from locally, and see what happens. I think they might be a bit frightened by that idea. But yeah, that's the sort of that's what I'd like. I'd love to push the envelope a little bit, and I'm lucky here because there's such a focus on cask beer at Dark Star, and we've also have this sort of out of this world branding. That we are, as a team, I should say, encouraged to push the envelope a little bit. So I think, yeah, that's something that I'm thinking about. I mean, also the shop is crying out for darker beers, which I agree, because all of our beers are EBC between 10 and like 17, so it's pretty narrow. So I think we'd like to see some darker beers coming out of here as well.
Yeah, definitely. I'm really pleased about the black IPA. That's going to be. I like it as a style, and I know not everyone feels the same way, but there are certainly a lot of people that do like it. I'll be looking out for that. It's great.
Well, it will be available in Waitrose.
Ooh, nice.
From September, if they have such things as on the Isle of Thanet.
Yeah, well, there's one in Ramsgate, so yeah, I'll get down there hot foot at that time, and I'll go and plunder.
Excellent, thank you. We need all
No
the help.
worries. Yeah. Well, that is the end of my questions. So thanks very much, Henry. It's been really, really good to speak to you, and thanks for taking the time. And I wish you well for the rest of the summer, and I hope you get some summer and get some enjoyable time with the family, and see you soon, hopefully.
Absolutely. Thanks very much, John. I've had a great time, and yes, all the best to you and yours.
Cheers, mate. All the best.
Thank you. Bye-bye.